Reverend Claudia introduced me to New Thought. I'd never heard of it before. And I introduced her to my idea, my understanding, I'll put it that way, of A Course in Miracles. And so we're just sharing, she's sharing with me what she's learned in her curriculum, in her certification, in her licensing, and in her ultimately her ordination as a minister. And I'm sharing with her the hours upon hours of study of A Course in Miracles. I mean, I just couldn't put it down. The first year, I was reading 6 or 8 hours a day. I read the whole thing through like 5 times in the first year. And it began to teach me, and began to teach me, and began to teach me. It began to come clear. And then I started having these experiences, these spiritual peak experiences. Anybody have any spiritual peak experiences? Everyone has. Now, you may not recognize it, but you have. I remember my very first one, I'll share with you quickly. I was a sailor, and we had gone to Barcelona, Spain, and we went to a Catholic church, a cathedral, and there was a saint that was entombed in the lower level of the church. And me and my 5 or 6 sailor buddies, we're all dressed up in our navy whites, and we're touring Barcelona, and they're eager to go get some beer. You know, it's noon somewhere, so you got to get some beer. Young sailors, but we go downstairs and we go around this, and it's a glass casket, and there's this woman, the body of this woman laying there, and she had a veil over her face, and we walked around it. Didn't think much of it, actually. It's the interesting thing about spirituality and a connection with spirit. No thoughts required. Let's take a good deep breath. Here in the upper room, no thoughts required. So we walk around this tomb, and I'm looking in this very small, frail body. Now, of course, not much body left, mostly bone, and this veil over the face. And suddenly peace came over me. Couldn't describe it. Had no clue what it was. But I remember we came out of that room, and there was just a little room, and then there's some stairs, and I just backed up against the wall, and I just slid down the wall, and I just sat down. I didn't want to leave. For the first time in my life, I truly had a connection and new experience of peace. I didn't know that's what it was. I was a young sailor. But now I can tell you unambiguously that it was absolutely an spiritual experience. It was one of those peak experiences. And for years I wondered, what was that? And eventually my buddies are like, come on. They call me Little Willie. Come on, Little Willie, we got to get some beer. Right? And so eventually they dragged me out of there. But I didn't want to leave because I'd never really experienced that much peace before. My mom had 10 kids. There was no peace. There was no peace. That's the thing about this journey, you know. It's so simple that we sometimes miss it. We really do. We kind of miss it because we want to figure it out. It's got to be more complicated than it sounds because I haven't been able to achieve enlightenment yet, so it's obviously my problem. There's something I'm not getting. I need another class. I need this. I need that. Whatever it might be. But I've come to understand from the teachings of Jesus, actually, that it's so simple that we miss it. So I'll give you an example. Maybe you might have been to, at least seen on TV or some cases, these things called roulette wheels, right? And they spin that ball on there, right? The pill. They put the pill on there, and it's just a ball, and it's heavy, and they spin it. And it goes around and around and around and around, and as it slows down, it eventually starts to drop down. And if you had your money on the right spot, you'd be a happy person, at least for a moment. So let's imagine that as a funnel. And let's imagine that pill is actually your mind, your consciousness. It's you. And when you engage in the activity of thinking, and when you engage in the activity of working this world into your idea of what it's supposed to look like, so that you can win the game, you're working and you're putting your energy into it, and it just spins faster and faster and faster. And the faster it spins, the higher it goes up. It's not going anywhere. It's just staying up now, going round and round. Do you feel like sometimes that your life is kind of taking you round and around and around? But when we come to the upper room, when we actually come to ourselves, and we take the opportunity to take that good deep breath. Let's do that once again. It heals us. We come to this place of peace. We're not thinking too much. We're not looking into the past and trying to use it to make a better future. We're just not working on the horizontal plane anymore. We're going vertical now. We're just at peace here now. We notice our breath. And now we begin to turn within to the heart space. I love to ask this question. Are you there? And I hear now this gleeful voice. Yes. And then you feel it wash over you. This peace. It's glorious. It caused me to back up and slide down the wall and just sit there for a few moments. Wow. It's beautiful because it's love opening up. The heart's beginning to open now. The pill's slowing down. And as it slows down, it comes deeper down in the funnel. As you slow down your mind, as you begin to do something that you've always had the power to do, and most people are maybe not conscious that they have, that you can defend this, that the one thing that spinning, raucous mind, those thoughts, cannot defend themselves against is you ignoring them. All power under heaven and earth is yours to ignore insanity. It's not necessarily something that we want to do because it's pretty exciting. All this insanity of the world keeps you busy, keeps you up at night, keeps you thinking and worrying and fixing and twisting and turning. But as we let that pill come down the funnel, it finally drops through. And now imagine, here you are, suspended in space in the upper room. It was only the funnel that made you think that you were in some positionality, that you were in some time, and there was some limit to it, and something that needed to be done. But when we drop through, we realize we are one with all that is. We are in this space of unity. We're in this presence of love. We need do nothing. There is no time. When you're in the upper room, you are in a time outside of time. And of course, in miracles, Jesus calls it the holy instant. But it's not an instant in time. It's an instant in eternity when you have dropped through all of the thinking consciousness and fallen into a place of absolute surrender and peace. And of course, joy and bliss follow along as well.